Look, I'm just a dude. I love watching action scenes where one or two action stars just mess up a whole ton of people. And when I was a teenager on YouTube and Newgrounds, there was no shortage of dudes getting messed up. And even in the subculture of my favorite MMO, MapleStory, animators like SpriteFan2 and Dre86 cooked up some peak sprite animations during the late 2000s and early 2010s. Last time on this retrospective, on this niche topic, we talked mostly about Dre86 and his Maple Kombat Series, and how it was a pretty awesome series of animations aimed to be as cool and epic as possible, but still having that goofy MapleStory charm. But what happens when you take that tone to a bit more of the edge? That 2007-2008 teenager edge. Then you get Camp Piggy Pie, animated by the duo of Naruto Eps 2, an insane but awesome series that really bled that edgy absurdity. All the MapleStory animation troops jammed in with some sprite animated shock humor and juvenile glee. A more cynical type would dare to call it cringe. Despite it being a ridiculous relic of the late 2000s, it is currently 2025, and I cannot stop thinking about this series. So let's talk about it, eh? Camp Piggy Pie is a series created by two animators whose names are not quite YouTuber advertiser friendly. One guy's name's play on the word boobs, and this other guy's name might be a slur, like, am I allowed to say that? Probably not. Once again, this is 2008, but this edge is going to keep on going and being a recurring theme throughout this segment. This series, it starts more like a shitpost, before actually getting some dope animation from Flash. It's about two dudes given a quest to save the pigs from,
You need to be able to concentrate. Concentration is the key to succeeding in my class.
Maybe we'll have to send him to concentration camp. Ah! Damn it, damn it, damn it!
Oh, dear God, why did he bring this up? The early episodes actually use in-game recordings of in-game footage for the dialogue scenes, so it's almost a bit more like a machinima than it is a Flash animation. Eventually, though, it cranks up the violence, and with more animated gore and a fight scene backed up with some heavy metal. Eventually, the boys are set out to unite the servers for an epic final battle. Now, in my last video, I talked about how Dre86 pioneered a few tropes and cliches, and these are starting to pop out as in-jokes in everybody else's animations. So of course, you got your MapleStory player cameos, you got your lead speak because it's 2008, you got your references to 300, Saw, and Lord of the Rings. You can pretty much make a bingo card of all these tropes at this point. We got nude murder, hacker hate, and my personal favorite, beef between the Scania and Bearer servers. So, as the boys unite the servers, the entire thing is scored with yellow card, because remember, this is 2008, we must maintain high levels of cool-ass shit. Episode 3 shows some aforementioned beef between Scania and the Bearer servers before showing the evil king's tragic backstory, why this man wanted to put all the pigs into this Camp Piggy Pie. And as we're speaking about needle drops, the music showing the really happy scenes is the Lion King song before transitioning into the Gears of War trailer music. You know, that Gears of War song. And it's this absolute whiplash of tone that I can never get out of my head. It's that contrast between trying to tell a serious story, but being stuck using MapleStory sprites that lives rent-free in my head. It's half the reason why I had to make this video. And I'm all for trying to tell the coolest or the darkest story you could possibly get. But the problem with MapleStory is it's hard to really show complex emotions like grief and loss when these are the facial animations that you have access to. And before I keep taking jabs at these guys' work, I gotta say, there's just something in the air. And that air is filled with another madness rampage. The animation kicks into high gear in part 4 with this insane battle. We got dudes getting fucked up here left and right and center. There's a reason why people are still waiting for part 5 years after the fact. I shit you not, you can go into the comments section of Camp Piggy Pie part 4, and there are comments from the 2020s asking to see how this all ends. I joke at the edginess here and there, but this is still one of my favorite MapleStory animation series. Hands down. But it wouldn't see an end. I remember one of the creators saying how their work on part 5 ended up getting lost on a computer that crashed back in the day, and that just sucks, right? And it keeps getting worse. The reason why their channel is called Naruto Eps 2 is because their original channel either got hacked or just randomly got shut down by YouTube. Most of their content here are all re-uploads because, like I said, they had a lot bigger views back in the day, but this is a whole new other channel. So their hard work got lost, they had to make a new channel. So what else are you gonna do? How about going full torque and making the most balls to the walls edgelord shit ever? Because truth be told, This video is not really about Camp Piggy Pie. It was about Take Shape. Take Shape was dropped on August 2010. Unlike everything else I showed you, this animation is more of a standalone thing and makes no references to MapleStory, but it goes hard into intense violence and gore. This animation is probably some of the best stuff around at this time, and I remember this one not quite landing with an audience. The vibes were off. People loved the animation and the violence, but I remember comments being a bit more critical of the story and that it kind of took itself a bit too seriously. And while I don't want to harp too much on this random animation from more than 15 years ago, but you have no idea how much this has lived rent-free in my head for this long. I have to explain. The video starts off with an almost 2-minute intro with this really cryptic poem that goes on for basically a quarter of the video. Like seriously, the video is 8.5 minutes, and this intro is 2 minutes. Then finally, the actual animation kicks off, and it's some good-ass shit. Forecasts are calling for a high chance of rain, and that rain is blood, because we got ourselves another madness rampage. Absolute cinema once again. And this might be the madness rampage to end all madness rampage next to Crinkles himself. But something is off, and you start asking questions as to what's going on. Like, who are these guys? Why are they killing everybody? Like, this shouldn't matter, but like the disconnect away from MapleStory means it's its own world, and so we're left with no idea what's actually happening. It leaves a lot to interpretation, and my take was that this Guy Fawkes guy, Jason, and SCP-35 are sent to kill these fascists, which is always a good thing. It's always a win. But is there a personal reason? Why are they all dressed up like horror movie villains? And who the hell are these evil-looking guys? Everyone either looks like a horror movie villain, a Batman villain, or a domestic terrorist, and there's no thematic design between our protagonists and the antagonists. It's like a teenager trying really, really hard to come up with the coolest character designs ever, and like, don't get me wrong, I dig it, but everyone just looks kinda evil. It's hard to find a reason to care, because the animation more or less devolves into a violent white noise with no real stakes. And once again, don't get me wrong, the animation is still awesome, but like, the lack of sound effects I think makes everything less impactful. The fact that the music just blares over the whole thing might be another reason why this didn't connect. I don't want to play the music since I don't want to incur the wrath of copyright strike, but the main song is called The Undertaker's Thirst for Revenge is Unquenchable by Shadows, which is hard as fuck. I love me some metal, but this music is not going to be everyone's taste, which makes me wonder if this would have done better as a standalone music video, more like those MMVs I mentioned in the other video. But even then it wouldn't work, because of course these guys got a copyright claim and the original video got the audio shut off. You need to understand, before YouTube had their copyright strike system, they would just shut down the audio of your entire video, ruining your work before you even had a chance to fix or replace the audio. These guys, no matter what, just couldn't catch a break. The entire channel has just been through the ringer of bad luck, and a lot of stuff in Take Shape points towards the C word, yeah. But James Lee has a point here. Take Shape is a project built on passion, hard work, and effort. It might be way too edgy, but it was created with the intent to show off the coolest shit an adolescent boy could have seen back in the late 2000s. Working hard and putting an effort into something is never cringeworthy if you're creating art and learning new skills and tools. Tastes change, context is lost, and people grow up. But making something and sharing something will always be cool as long as you're passionate about what you do and as long as you give a shit. But the question becomes, what happens if you're an edgelord, but don't have the technical or artistic skills to make something cool? What if you put in all your effort, and the end product is this kind of garbage? This might sound cynical, but bear with me, because truth be told, this video is not actually about Take Shape. It's not about Camp Piggy Pie. It's not about Retrospective 2. It's about me and the animation I created, Maple Rampage. So, plot twist, I myself made a MapleStory animation back in the day. It's not good, and I'm going to share it with you. Not out of embarrassment, because it's funny as hell. After being critical of Retrospective 2 for being a couple of edgelords, I think it's fair that I finally put myself to be sacrificed on the altar. Maple Rampage was released on a channel that I no longer have access to, but somehow I was able to get this video and and put it on this current channel, which I don't upload to, and keep it as private. And I am so happy I was able to find this, because it is incredible. Maple Rampage is basically just Crinkle's madness by using MapleStory sprites ripped from MapleStory, but animated without using Adobe Flash. Instead, I basically set the scene and put all the characters up on a set within MapleStory with the background, and then I take a screenshot. Then I move the sprites, and take another screenshot. I do this for the entire 2 minutes or so of the fight sequence. So yeah, it's basically not flash animation, but more like stop motion. The number of animation rules I break in this piece of garbage are so bad that they come back around to being amazing. There's no arcing when sprites jump or move, they just sort of bob up and down without any momentum. The scene never changes away from this one frame, so the bodies all just pile up, adding to the visual noise. There's almost no points of intrinsic interest to focus on. It all happens at once. I occasionally zoom in, but then back out to the same set. So many questions as to why I do things like this. Like, why do I never show blood except for this one boss character who gets an entire blood pool made with MS Paint? And of course, we get to the cliches. At this point, I'm referencing the in-jokes, but not really sure why. We got your typical, like, noob murder. I have a credit sequence where I just go on and on longer than the actual fight sequence itself. I give casting credits to OCs. And did I mention this entire thing is backed by a Breaking Benjamin track? Because of course it did. And for bonus points, it got a copyright claim. I myself hold no real shame for this animation. It sucks and it's stupid, but it's funny. And I see an actual attempt to make something funny and share with friends and other members of the community. And at the very end, I'm pretty much just shouting out all these other animators that I really enjoyed. I wouldn't call myself so much of an edgelord back in the day, but I certainly had a liking to shock humor and absurdity. But really, the only cringe thing about this entire animation is the fact that I didn't try again. I tried out some other animation softwares, and when those didn't work or my computer crashed, I kind of gave up. From 2010 to 2024, I would just never touch video creation. And you can almost see a parallel between me and Naruto 2, except Naruto 2 never finished their series due to bad luck and just constant bullcrap from YouTube. But they put everything into one last insane animation feat that, despite not quite landing, it was still an awesome thing to share. Something clicked in 2024, I don't really know what, but rather than just sitting on my ass and doom scroll all day, I decided to jump back into video production. I might not get many hits, or might not be the best quality, and I'm still got a lot to learn, but when Naruto 2 made their first Camp Piggy Pie using a screen recorder to record dialogue, I bet they never expected people to be asking how their story ended years after the fact when they never finished their last episode. So to that I say, fuck being cringe. And in a world of constant cynicism, brain rot, and AI slop, here's small contributions to the online space, whether they be a YouTube vlog, a YouTube deep dive, a cosplay project you always wanted to wear, digital artwork, whatever. Real art and real community is more important than ever. And for those of you who are still watching, thank you for stopping by. If you remembered a funny project you shared online as a kid or a teenager, leave a comment and tell me about the story.